on to the April 15th episode of NXT. The match that kicked off this episode was Finn Balor versus Fabian Eichner with Marcel Barthel at ringside. Obviously, with Marcel Barthel being there to enlist some help for his Imperium brother Fabian Eichner, obviously the odds were stacked against Finn Balor while he was battling two members of Imperium. Not like he really had a hard time facing these guys, well, facing Fabian Eichner with the help of Marcel Barthel ringside. But, you know, there obviously was a little bit of an obstacle to overcome. You know, ultimately, Fabian Eichner loses the match. Finn hits him with a coup de grace, followed up by the 1916 to pick up the win. It was a solid match. Again, nothing too crazy, nothing major about the match. It was a good, fairly good match. For the Finn Balor fans, you'll go out of your way to see it. And for the non-Finn Balor fans, or if you're a fan of Imperium or anything like that, you guys, go out of your way to see the match. Really nothing else to say about it. It was alright. It just wasn't nothing too crazy. Moving on. Next on the card, there was a Charlotte video promo package of her saying that she's been the most dominant female on any roster in WWE for like the past 5 years. Running down her accolades, she was already NXT Women's Champion, Raw Women's Champion multiple times, SmackDown Women's Champion multiple times, the last reigning Divas Champion before it was retired. She's won the Women's Royal Rumble this year. So her saying she's been dominating the, any division or any brand, I'm sorry, so to speak, in WWE for the past 5 years is actually a true statement, because you can't deny it. Again, I just listed some of her accolades, and there's nobody else in comparison that can match her far as the number of accomplishments and what she's done. And she's had some of the, not even just far as championships, she's had like big names matches going against some legends of old female legends, that is. So when she says, I want to go to NXT and put a spotlight on the deepest division and, the best talent of women, it's pretty much what she's doing right now, or at least going to give them a chance to show what they can do. She's pretty much going to go down there and run roughshod throughout the whole NXT women's division until anybody can put a stop to her title reign. But it just got started, so that won't be happening anytime soon. And I know that my good friend, Romeo Anthony Colon of the Romeo Report, endorses everything I just said about that. So, bow to the queen. Moving on. Next match on the card was Xia Li versus Aaliyah. In my version of NXT, I watched this on Hulu. This match wasn't on there. Thank God. I read the results. It didn't look like anything spectacular. First of all, it's fucking Aaliyah. She's trash. And Xia Li, again, she's only as good as the person she's in there with. Since she's in there with Leah, it was fucking trash. So, from what I read, this match seemed like a dud. Since it wasn't on the Hulu version of the show, I'm pretty sure it wasn't that fucking important. Moving on. Next, we're moving on to the vacated Cruiserweight Championship. As you all know, again, with the coronavirus going on, NXT Cruiserweight Champion Jordan Devlin cannot defend his title right now. So he's home, and I believe in his country of Ireland, where, obviously he doesn't want to be there. He wants to be a fighting champion. This out of his hands and out of his control. So in the meantime, NXT has a round robin tournament going on, sort of like G1, where there's 8 competitors. There's a Group A and Group B. That's why I said it's like the G1. And 4 competitors for each group. They face each other. Whoever has the best record coming out of either group faces the winner of either group, who then goes on to be the NXT, the interim NXT champion, cruiserweight champion. I believe this is group. I don't really remember what groups. I know who's in which group. I don't really remember which group. So I'm just gonna say this is Group A. Group A is Drake Maverick, Jake Atlas, El Hijo del Fantasma, and Jack Gallagher. Group B is Kushida, Isaiah Swerve Scott, Akira Tozawa, and Tony Nese. Again, I might be completely botching with who's in which group, but they're all in the same group. That might be Group A for the people I named, and that might be Group B for the other people I named. But the people that I named in each group are all in the same group, so that's all that fucking matters. So, going into the tournament, my money is on El Hijo del Fantasma, aka King Cuerno, for those who watched him on Lucha Underground. Yes, that is King Cuerno from Lucha Underground. So, again, that's why I think is going to win the whole thing. But let's get into some of these matches. Let's get into this match, actually. First match of the whole tournament is Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Akira Tozawa. And I'm rooting for Swerve. Big fan of both guys, but I'm rooting for Swerve. Akira Tozawa has already been Cruiserweight Champion. So I'm feeling as though that it's Swerve's time to take this. You know, obviously this guy's been, Akira Tozawa's been Cruiserweight Champion before. So he really doesn't need the rub. But, you know, that's not how things worked out. Again, I was rooting for Swerve, but Akira Tozawa picked up the win in this match with the diving senton bomb from the top rope. The match itself was solid, very hard hitting, high flying. There's really nothing bad to say about the match. There was like a one misstep in a move where Swerve tried to hit a Frankensteiner on Akira Tozawa, and he like didn't catch all of the move. But that's just, you know, me watching and seeing what happened. Like, other than that, the match was very solid. And in my opinion, that was my match of the night on this episode of NXT. Again, Akira Tozawa picked up the win. Basically having experience as being a former champ and having more of determined will to want to win and regain that championship. Pretty much went into this victory for him. He has a post-match interview saying how he has to keep fighting. He wants to keep winning. He has to win. And, you know, more power to Akira Tozawa for picking up that victory. It's not over yet for Swerve, but, you know, starting off with a 0-1 record, you know, isn't the best, but we're going to move forward, and hopefully that's who I was, you know, from that group, that's who I wanted, you know, just for that match I wanted him to win. I still think El Hijo del Fantasma will win the whole thing, but, you know, moving on, we're just going to see what happens. Alright, moving on. Next match on the card was Tegan Nox versus Raquel Gonzalez. Obviously, Raquel Gonzalez being the muscle for Dakota Kai, this whole, you know, situation they have going on. First it was Tegan and Dakota, now it's Tegan and Raquel Gonzalez, because Raquel Gonzalez keeps interjecting herself in these matches that involve Dakota Kai. So, you know, this match, it wasn't nothing crazy at all, nothing really big happened. Close to the end of the match, that's when things come out. For the most part, Tegan Nox was getting her ass kicked during this match. Obviously, you know, Raquel Gonzalez is bigger, stronger, and Tegan could only do so much against not only Raquel Gonzalez, but also Dakota Kai injecting herself in the match. So, as the match is coming to a close, out comes, surprisingly, Shotzi Blackheart comes out, takes out Dakota Kai, making an even playing field, and then she goes on to distract Raquel Gonzalez, who gets hit with a roll-up pin and loses the match to Tegan Knox, who takes advantage of Shotzi Blackheart comes out, and she rolls up Raquel Gonzalez and gets the win. I'm not a big fan of the loss, of just random losses, because I don't think Raquel Gonzalez should have been losing, and as early as her debut, but it progresses the story. So if she loses, as long as it makes sense, this makes sense. This made much sense. Again, Dakota is really the main focus, and Raquel Gonzalez, she's the heater, so she can take the losses and take the pins and all this stuff that you don't want happening to Dakota Kai, who is the main focus in the feud. That's that makes sense. Following next week, or the following episode of NXT, it's Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez versus Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Knox to continue the storyline. So they're all intertwined. Dakota Kai and Shotzi Blackheart, they had their match going on as far as the Gauntlet Women's match for the last person to enter the ladder match, and Raquel Gonzalez was interjecting herself in that match. So all Shotzi Blackheart did was get some payback. That's why that makes sense, So, like I said again, the next episode of NXT, it's Tegan Knox and Shotzi Blackheart versus Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. Moving on, another squash match on the card: Dexter Lumis versus Tahuti Miles. Tahuti Miles taps out to Encounter Vice. That's it. Nothing else to talk about. Moving on. So there was a video promo by Adam Cole. Velveteen Dream, for whatever reason, expected Adam Cole to meet him in this episode. Adam Cole, and rightfully so, says that Velveteen Dream is stupid to think that he was actually going to show up there, risk getting the coronavirus just to be face-to-face with some other nigga. Yeah, I doubt that. So that makes a lot of sense on Adam Cole's part. Adam Cole calls him stupid, say he doesn't deserve a title shot, nobody deserves a title shot, and he's just focusing on trying to get Undisputed Era back to holding all the gold. So that was that. And right after that promo, Velveteen Dream, he comes out to the empty arena, starts to cut his promo on Adam Cole, but he's interrupted by Finn Balor. During his promo, Velveteen Dream mentioned Adam Cole being the greatest NXT champion of all time. And obviously Finn Balor felt some type of way about that, being the former longest reigning NXT champion prior to, Adam Cole having that accolade under his belt now. So pretty much Balor's just like, yo, watch your mouth. Like, if you want to talk about the greatest NXT champion, you make sure you talk about me. That's my territory. So now these two got a little thing going on. They're going to be facing each other on the following episode of NXT. So, moving on. The next match on the card was the NXT Tag Team title match between Undisputed Era, the challengers, versus Matt Riddle, one champion, and a champion, and a challenger, a champion to replace Pete Dunne. Again, Pete Dunne's in the same situation as Jordan Devlin, champion that can't honor defending the title. But long as Matt Riddle's there, that's one champion. So in his place, Pete Dunne sends Catchpoint Evolve team member, Catchpoint, Matt Riddle and this person teamed together in the group Catch Point when they were both involved. And it is none other than Timothy Thatcher. Now, this was another hard-hitting match. The styles, the different styles of Riddle and Thatcher coming together. Riddle being, you know, a mat wrestler, a little bit of I wouldn't say high flying, but you know, that fast paced action. And Timothy Thatcher, you know, big guy, brutal. You know, his style isn't made to look good. It's just not pretty at all. He just comes out there, he's slugging it out, duking it out, looking for a fight. And that's pretty much how the match went. Both teams got their offense in, had their moments to shine, but ultimately it came down to Timothy Thatcher applying Fujiwara armbar to Undisputed Era member Roderick Strong tapping out. So the team of Riddle and Thatcher retained the NXT tag team titles, and you know, we'll see where they go on from here. They're going to move on to another match with the Undisputed Era, or are they finally going to move on to Indus Sher? You know, because these guys have been targeting Matt Riddle lately, so we're going to see what happens. And the final segment to close the show was Tommaso Ciampa, you know, addressing his loss against Johnny Gargano, the one final beat match. So, you know, Tommaso's been through a lot lately. You know, he's a real emotional saga going on with him and his former best friend. Now his former best friend's wife's getting into it. He loses a match. He's just like at rock bottom. You know, in the middle of his promo, he gets attacked, laid out. Then a pair of patent leather, big ass boots, platform boots, show up on the screen with a individual laying over Tommaso's laid out body. This is none other than Killer Kross, aka now known as Karrion Kross, going forward. Obviously, they're not going to have this nigga named Killer, especially after Dark Side of the Ring just showed the Chris Benoit story. You know, they're definitely not going to call him that. So this is finally, you know, all the TikTok, the video vignettes of, you know, the end of the world and all these things. It just leads up to a Killer Kross debut, and this is how he makes his name known, attacking one of the biggest names in NXT, and you know, can't wait to see where this goes. Obviously, this is going to put Tommaso in, you know, another state of having to fight his way from the ground up, but you know, it's going to be a nice story. I'm waiting to see where this goes with it. So this was the April 8th and April 15th episode of NXT. We'll be back next week with the April 22nd episode of NXT, and I hope all you guys stay home. Please stay home, stay healthy, and just, you know, keep hitting the YouTube channels. Ain't nothing else better for you guys to do. You're supposed to be home in the house. So just watch our catalog, you know. It's your boy True Ness. See you back next week.